Our first unit is on informational texts. You may not realize, but you read informational texts all of the time. It includes descriptions, problems and solutions, compare and contrast, cause and effect, and sequence. And it can include things like explanations, informational reports, procedures, recounts, maps, websites, biographies, and news articles. So for our first lesson, 1.01, examining images, our objectives are to analyze the images. Now let's remember what analyze means. We really need to look at it carefully and pick it apart. And we need to understand how finding little details in images can help us build our reading skills. And then for our assignment, you will need to write a paragraph comparing and contrasting two different images. Now, we'll get into what the specifics for writing a paragraph include later in this recording. Down in the lower right-hand corner, you're going to notice two different vocabulary words that I want to make sure that you are familiar with. So let's refresh our memory on inference. Inference is the first one, and inference is in reading is the ability to understand the meaning of a passage of text without all the information being spelled out for you. So from context clues within a passage, the author gives information about the plot and the characters, the setting, the time period, and other elements of the story by things he or she infers. We draw inferences all the time when we say things like, I don't see Anne. She said she was tired, so she must have gone home to bed. So because we don't see her, and because she told us that she was tired at one point, we're just assuming. We make that assumption. We infer. All right. Compare contrast is the other vocabulary that you need to be familiar with for this lesson. And compare and contrast, when you compare something, you are finding the similarities. And when you contrast, you're finding the differences between two things. So let's look at your assignment details. For this assessment, you need to choose either option A, which you see below on the left, or option B, which you see on the right. In your comparison, you will be making some inferences that need to be supported by evidence from the images. Your paragraph must include the following. Identify at least 3 similarities between the two images. 3 similarities. Identify at least 3 differences. Discuss the message of each image using supporting details as evidence. Now remember, when you use a supporting detail, you are giving information about the picture here that you're talking about. So if you are talking about if you choose option A and you're talking about how those two things are similar, you're going to need to give me 3 things that you're looking at, and then you're going to need to give me another 3 about how they're different. And you're going to need to discuss what each picture means by using inferences. So when you see a person with their hand up to their face, like you see the young lady on the left, what does that mean to you? What does that say to you? Is she surprised? Is she scared? Is she happy? Is she sad? What can you infer just by looking at that picture? Okay. Option B, compare and contrast the painted self-portrait below with one of your own selfies. All right, so you would look at this picture and then a picture that you took of yourself and compare and contrast those. You don't have to do both of these, just one, option A or option B. Now please remember that when you are writing paragraphs, you need to have a paragraph of at least 7 sentences. You need to use proper punctuation and capitalization, and you need to make sure that you go back through and you really focus on what it is that you're being asked to do. 3 similarities and 3 differences. So when you get done going through your entire lesson, that will be the assignment. Please let me know if you have any questions.